There always seems to be controversy surrounding boxing at the Olympics. In 2016, Mike Conlon said "fuck you" to the AIBA after receiving a suspicious scorecard that resulted in a loss. And this year's headline is centered around women's boxing, when an Olympian is being accused of being a man competing against women.
You can't say that.
Sir, you can't
Is he
say that.
allowed to say
I'll say
that?
it louder.
As a society, we decided a long time ago that men and women have different strengths and weaknesses. Men typically have bigger frames and biological differences that make us stronger and faster. For this reason, we separate our sports so that there's as even a playing field as possible. For example, in basketball, men play on a 10-foot high hoop and women play on a 9-foot high hoop. And in boxing, women fight 2-minute rounds and men fight 3-minute rounds, even though women have been pushing for 3-minute rounds for the past couple of years. Because of our differences, you typically don't see a crossover in sports. It happens sometimes, but it's not really that common. But over the past decade, ultra progressives have worked to eliminate the divide between men and women, trying to pretend that everything is equal, everything's on the same playing field, even though we actually know that it's not. And this culminated in an Olympic boxing match between Imane Khelif and Angelina Carini, where 46 seconds into the fight, Carini catches a straight right hand with her face and decides she's done with the bout. Carini said she had never been hit this hard in her life and feared that she wouldn't survive if she continued to fight. What followed was a ton of media attention and a ton of influencers rallying behind Carini, accusing Khelif of being a man and saying that she was unfairly advantaged. This made me think of a few instances where women have called out men in sports. For example, Brittany Griner said that she could beat DeMarcus Cousins in one-on-one. But when NBA players were asked about it, they either said hell nah or they just outright laughed at the idea.
Like the confidence, BG, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Even in boxing, the greatest woman of all time, and she does have the accolades and the record to back it up, Clarissa Shields said that she could beat Keith Thurman. But in sparring, she was knocked down, not knocked out, but knocked down by a sparring partner. Granted, she did say that he had took the padding out of his gloves and he was cheating.
He's like a little Russian hater. He took the padding out of his gloves out.
But he's an unnamed, unranked boxer, and he definitely doesn't have the 75% KO ratio that Keith Thurman has. There's even this video I remember of two women competing against some large guy in some sort of MMA event, and he easily beat them. Granted, the guy had to be like 300 pounds maybe, and they were two small women, so there wasn't much of a competition, even if you replace those women with guys that are the same size. But I don't even know why we had to have this competition. We knew the outcome. It's two small women versus one large guy. I'm not sure what the promoters or the event was going for here. Now, there's a lot of back and forth about whether Imane Khelif is a man or not. And you're probably wondering, like I was wondering, where this line of questioning even comes from. So I have an excerpt from NBC New York to provide some context. It reads, IBA Russian President Umar Kremlev claimed that DNA results showed that the two athletes, Imane Khelif and someone else, have XY chromosomes, citing it as a reason why they were disqualified in the World Championships. The IBA also cited high levels of testosterone in Khelif's system. What's important here is that no evidence was produced to show the test results that said that they have X and Y chromosomes. Additionally, Khelif has not said that she's transgender, she identifies as transgender, that she was a male at one point, or any type of language like that. So these are just accusations from this Russian guy. As far as testosterone levels, that's not really an indicator on if she's a man or not. Some people just have biological anomalies, like Michael Phelps, right? He said that he didn't produce as much lactic acid, which allowed him to swim longer. So high levels of testosterone is not an indicator that she is or isn't a man. We just don't have the evidence to say either way at this point. So we can't say that she's a man. But at this point, can we at least say maybe she hits hard? Yeah, we can. I looked at her BoxRec scores and compared them to one of the hardest hitting pro boxers around today, Tank Davis. As an amateur, Tank had about a 5% KO ratio, whereas right now, Imane has about a 13% KO ratio. And it's not an apples to apples comparison, right? But we can conclude that maybe she does hit hard in comparison to some other women. But we have to look at the average amount of knockouts, obviously. But in this instance, we can say, okay, she has a decent amount of KOs at 13% for the amateurs. But once again, high knockout percentage, it doesn't make her a man. It just makes her a puncher. And in boxing, getting caught with a nice shot, a nice flush shot, is going to hurt, no matter who it comes from. Imane, she does have a winning record, But it's not like she's bulldozing through her competition like she's Deontay Wilder in his first 40 fights. She's lost 9 fights. That's 20% of all the fights that she's taken as an amateur. Angelina Carini said she quit to save her life. She gave up on her Olympic dreams and a promise that she made to her late father. And I get it. Boxing is a dangerous sport. You want to make sure that you take as little damage as possible. That's why they call it the sweet science, hit and not get hit. But this is not the first time that she's quit in the middle of a fight. I'm not sure what it says about this fight. It doesn't tell us if Imane is a man or is not a man. But it surely says something about her and her determination and character. Anyway, I don't think that we need to be mixing genders in sports. And if it is going to happen, let it be its own separate league, especially not at the Olympics. This is where the best athletes come to showcase their talents against like competition. Until there's evidence that Khelif has an X and Y chromosome, we can't just call her a male because someone else said so. But for now, I'm going to congratulate her on making her opponent say,
No más.